Hey, we're back.
Yeah, you're listening to the Brohio Podcast Show. I'm the delicious Nickalicious.
And I am the ever spicy Rob Dog.
We are so appreciative of you guys being here, listening to us talk about aliens, shit stains, ghosts and monsters,
And everything in between.
conspiracies.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the Denver International Airport this episode.
Yeah. We haven't been telling you guys anything that we've been doing here lately.
No,
and I
and
love it.
It's like going all the way to the edge. You get there,
Yeah.
and then you pull it back, and you stop, and then you get all the way to the edge again, and then you pull it back. And then when you finally go, it's not that good.
Yeah.
That's kind of how this is going to be. We've got a lot of stuff to share with you guys about this nasty airport.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
Even, so it said that if you go in the bathroom stalls, and if you're wearing dress shoes, and you stick your foot underneath the stall, and you kind of wiggle your foot back and forth, whoever is in the stall next to you will have sex with you. And usually it's an old man with like saggy, shitty balls.
Game on.
Game on. Sorry to get so vulgar right off the rip. If this is your first time listening to the Brohio Podcast Show,
Hey,
we
put the kids to bed. I don't care if it's 3 PM.
we're bad.
We're gonna have fun.
If you're easily offended, I would recommend Astonishing Legends or Generation Y. They're both good podcasts about similar things. I have some podcasts that I wouldn't recommend. You can hit me in the DMs if you want to do that. We'll go round and round about that.
Ooh, boy, will we.
And a special thanks to our new Patreon subscribers, Aaron Griffiths.
Thank you.
He just subscribed this morning. He's swinging the big dick. He's going to get to pick an episode.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Bringing the hammer down.
We did the thing this week where we asked what should we do for this episode. We had a lot of people respond.
Oh my God, tons. Thanks for giving us your ideas, guys.
We have an infinite list of topics now.
Right.
We got a lot of people requesting the Denver International Airport, so that's why we rolled with that.
Yeah.
So he's going to get to pick his own topic. He's going to join us. We got Jessica Greving, Braden Russell, and I would like to give a special shout out to Cody Taylor. He's been spreading our word around. You got old Susie listening to us. We appreciate all of your Patreon donations. It helps make the world go round for us.
Yes, thank you guys very, very
Trying
much.
to make some mass updates to our studio and our audio recording equipment. We could not be more thankful.
And thank you for spreading the seed of the Brohio.
The best thing at the end of the day, if you do want to make a single donation, we will do that via PayPal if you would like. That's our email address is brohiopodcast@gmail.com. You can direct it there. But the best thing you can do for us is just spread the word. Tell your friends, say, hey, I heard this awesome podcast, or I heard this really bad podcast.
I know how you like shitty stuff, so go listen to this one.
It's so bad that you have to listen to it. And we are recording on Sunday morning right now. Things in my house are hustling and bustling. So if you hear any faint cries for help,
It's
my
Nick.
children, it's me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a eventful day here at
it's Rob grabbing me under the table.
the studio.
We have a phone number. that
Oh
you
gosh,
can-
we.
a Hotmail or a hotline.
Hotmail. Oh jeez.
Whoa, Jesus.
Okay, 1998.
Yeah. Hit me up on Hotmail, and then when we're done, you can go check out my Angel Fire page. I just got done building and shit, and then we can go out. We're gonna go to the mall, and we're gonna stop and get some Surge and shit. We're just gonna party rock the fuck out. I got these new Vans.
I love it.
These Junko jeans. I'm wearing it all right now, and probably not gonna worry about my wallet falling out of my pocket because my wallet's on a chain. It'll be all right, right?
Yeah.
You can call the phone number and leave us a voicemail, 937-815-0411. And before you sick fucks call and try and talk to one of us live, it just goes straight to voicemail.
It's gonna go straight to voicemail. Yeah, but if we deem it worthy enough, we're gonna let everybody listen to it.
Yeah, we
Make it spicy.
did not have enough time to break down all of the voicemails we got this week, but we'll have a lot for you guys next weekend.
Yeah, we got 40, 44, 43 of them were from the same number. Thanks, dude.
It doesn't take much detective work to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to share an article with you that I stumbled upon this week.
Which, if this is your first time listening, this is our normal go-to for the beginning.
Yeah,
So,
we share a news article, a funny news article from during the week that we stumble upon.
Yeah.
A missing flight can be a hassle for your average passenger, but for Pebbles, an emotional support dwarf hamster owned by Beline Autacosi, it was downright deadly. Autacosi flushed Pebbles down an airport toilet after her pet was denied passage on a Spirit Airlines flight on November 21st, and she could not figure out any other way to get home to South Florida. Now,
There's a joke there.
Right, yes. In my day, I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but it feels really nice to put a gerbil up your ass.
There's
and I
the
would
joke.
I would have to imagine a hamster would be quite along the same lines, although hamsters are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And she's a young college student, just probably, just not sporting the childbearing hips yet. Be a little,
I don't know. I don't see how you can make that judgment call.
just go to the bathroom and flush the toilet and then cram it up your ass and come out like Pebbles is all gone.
Like, we got to tell this person
Right.
that they need to flush their hamster down the toilet.
The 21-year-old college student said she'd been assured in advance that the hamster could travel with her, and travel right down the fucking shitter. The hamster could travel with her, and said that an airline employee advised her to either flush the animal or let it loose outside. Why wouldn't you just
That's so rude.
give it a fighting chance?
Yeah.
Don't flush it. That's kind of like, I have a dog that's 12, and my wife threatens to kill him all the time. I'm like, or give him away. I'm like, I just want to just kill him, because if I can't have him, I don't want anybody to have him. After hours of indecision and unsuccessful attempts to rent a car, the hamster owner chose the former. She told the Miami Herald. She was scared. I was scared. It was horrifying trying to put her in the toilet. Otokosi said, I sat there for a good 10 minutes crying in the stall. Derek Dombrowski, spokesperson for Spirit Airlines, acknowledged that the company had mistakenly told Otokosi that the hamster was permitted to fly, but denied that killing the animal was their idea. We can say confidently that at no point did any of our agents suggest this guest, or any other for that matter, should flush or otherwise injure an animal, Dombrowski said by email. It is incredibly disheartening to hear that this guest reportedly decided to end her pet's life. Way to flip the screws around on that one.
Why would she willingly have done that?
It's an emotional support animal.
Even if it is like a fucking hamster. I don't know.
Pebbles is just the latest emotional support animal to make headlines in the U.S. In January, an emotional support peacock named Dexter was barred from traveling on a United Airlines flight despite having being bought its own ticket.
Is this an article from The Onion?
No, this is Fox News.
Oh, it's got to be real.
Even better. A spokesperson for Spirit Airlines said it is incredibly disheartening to hear this guest reportedly decided... Well, I already read that part. Sorry. In recent weeks, both United Airlines and Delta have cracked down on the wide range of creatures claimed as therapy animals. Such moves have been supported by the union representing the flight attendants, which said in a statement that the workers struggled to cope with issues like biting, aggression, urination, defecation, allergic reactions, conflict, and other disruptions. It just sounds like someone that has to take care of me, honestly.
Sounds like a party.
Both Adam Goldman, a Miami attorney representing Otokosi, pushed back on any comparison between Pebble and Dexter. This wasn't a giant peacock that could pose a danger to other passengers, he told the Herald. This was a tiny, cute, harmless hamster that could fit in the palm of your hand or up your ass if you needed to conceal it in your prison pocket. So what do you do, man?
I don't know. I guess that means I can't bring my emotional support alpaca on my next flight.
What about emotional support peacock?
I like that someone would have tried to bring a peacock.
You can imagine how majestic that thing
Oh,
was.
right.
Just brought it in. It's wearing
Glorious.
a crown. Just, this is my peacock. And I would like for you to fetch it a bag of nuts.
Which is also a very dirty sounding name for an animal.
It is.
I like it.
We would really like your iTunes reviews. If you could get on there and leave us a 5-star review, anything less than that, just keep it moving. No, if it's not worth 5 stars to you, that's fine. Hop on there, leave us a review. You can do it on your computer if you don't have an iPhone. Just download the iTunes app. It's probably the iTunes app. It's probably already on your computer because Apple's taken over the world. It's kind of how that works.
If not, download it just for that and then get rid of it afterwards.
Yeah, just for that. So we need to take up a few minutes here because this isn't the lengthiest topic we've ever covered.
Yeah.
So I talked to some friends. I still stay in contact with some of the people I worked with when I worked at the prison.
Yeah.
There's lots of prison terms that you don't hear in the normal world, and I'm sure you know about some of this stuff,
right?
Like a hooch,
yeah,
like a homemade
alcohol.
Yeah, and you got your prison pocket, which is your butthole,
your asshole. Yeah.
There's
of course the shank, which everybody knows. The shiv.
And there's 6'5"ing. You know what that is? That's when someone's serving as a lookout for you.
Oh, okay.
Like, hey, bro, go 6'5" for me. If someone's 6'5" for you, that means they're looking out for you.
Gotcha.
I learned about something this week called hot legging.
Hot legging. Okay.
When you think of hot leggings, I think of like, Kate Upton wearing some hot leggings. Or there's certain guys that if they're wearing leggings, I would be into it also, like Jason Macaroni or Jason Moana. What are his fucking name is?
Yeah, I got a man boner for that guy.
Momoa.
Yeah, Mimosa.
Whatever he is. I saw him standing there in the water in that movie.
Oh, he's a glorious man.
What is he?
A fucking Greek god.
I would hold his fart like a bong hit. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, he's a stupidly attractive dude.
So whatever could this hot legging possibly be? So hot legging is when you get one of your best buds. In my case, it would be you. I would choose no one else.
Hey, I accept it.
You get them to lie on their back, and they clench their legs together very tightly.
Okay.
And then you lube up the area right where the butt crack meets the upper thighs, like that little crevice right there.
Right.
And then you fuck that right there. That's called hot legging.
Huh. Well, that's fun.
Doesn't it sound like it would work, though?
Yeah, it does.
What are you doing right now? We've got some candle wax here.
I got some coffee.
We burn a candle, and
we set the mood. We turn the lights down low. And
yeah, but that's hot legging, guys.
Hot leg.
So if your wife says she's not in the mood, there is no longer an excuse anymore, unless you're the type of guy that just tearing shit up no matter what you put it in.
Yeah,
not us.
Just find a flap somewhere and go to town.
Just get her to lie down. Just squish them legs together really hard, and you've got a game. It's game on at that point.
I love it.
That's your prison jargon for the week.
The more you know.
Yeah. And to switch to a more somber note, we have a lot of Ohio listeners, obviously, because we are the Brohio podcast. In Westerville last evening, there were 2 police officers killed while on duty. And I just want to say, if you're from that area, and I mean the law enforcement community in general, we have a lot of officers that listen. We are thinking of you guys. It's seems to be a reoccurring subject in the world that we live in. Pretty shitty stuff. It was just a 911 hang-up call. And I used to work in law enforcement. That's the scariest thing for officers is a 911 hang-up and just traffic stops, because you never know what you're getting. That's just the fear of the unknown, you know?
Yep.
Whatever you're going to run into, you don't know. So we are thinking of you guys, the Westerville Police Department and the Columbus area in general. Enough with the sad stuff. Even though we're thinking of those guys, we're going to move on to Denver International Airport. Rob and I had a hard time finding time to research this subject this week.
It was a rough week.
We did what we could. We're going to show up. We're going to smile. We're going to give you an hour of our time. And that's how it's going to go down. I think Rob has the majority of the research.
Yeah. So talking about the Denver airport. So there's a lot of things. It's a plethora of a goodie bag worth of information here.
It's infinite.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of stuff. I'm sure we're not going to get into everything.
Comparatively speaking, I would say it's along the lines of like a Skinwalker Ranch or Montauk.
Yeah.
There's just a lot, not on that type of scale, but as far as how much stuff is going on there.
Yeah. I would say the main conspiracy with the Denver International Airport is that it is pretty much, you have your airport that covers the mainland, but then underneath it's harboring
bunkers
for members of the New World Order, Illuminati, reptoids, and any elite groups.
I've heard Nazis as well.
Yep. So there's
and that's a reoccurring subject or a reoccurring thought in most of the conspiracy things we do. There's always bunkers involved, whether it's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base or the Montauk Project.
Yeah.
Everything's always underground.
Right.
And I did hear this week, they were talking about as far as us investigating extraterrestrial life. I think this was on the Joe Rogan show. They said that everything that is extraterrestrial, as far as Mars and the planets that can harbor life,
right,
it's all underground. That's why when we get a surface picture of Mars or Uranus, for instance, Uranus, you don't see anything because all the extraterrestrial life is going to be burrowed underground. Thus, to the naked eye, it looks like nothing's going on. But for us to think that there's not, that we've said it before. It's completely selfish to think that we're the only people out there doing
Right.
this shit.
And
They're millions of years advanced ahead of us.
Oh,
That's the thing.
absolutely. Yeah. We're infants still in terms of universe. And I think I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that we've already found
Life form
on
Mars.
Mars.
Yeah, we have.
Just microorganisms
Yeah.
and other.
That's all it takes, though, man.
That's all it takes. Yep. So speaking of the airport here, there's really the best place to start is at the beginning.
That's where I like to start, or the bottom of the crack.
Yeah, right. So before the Denver International Airport, we're going to start with Stapleton Airport. Now, Stapleton was the original airport for the Denver area. It was also called the Denver Municipal Airport. This one actually opened up in 1929, and it operated for about 65 years before it was actually replaced by the Denver International Airport. And we'll get into why exactly the old airport is important. This is one of the big guns for a lot of conspiracy theorists is as the Denver airport actually goes is the Stapleton. The area of land for the Stapleton airport was selected by Benjamin Stapleton and Charles Vail, who was improvements and park department manager.
I used to smoke pot with Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering.
You blaze that shit up. Now, the site that they built the airport on was called Sand Creek, aka Rattlesnake Hollow.
Rattlesnake Hollow.
That's
And for
right.
those of you listening, I fucking hate teeth. So if you're on the Butt Chuggers Anonymous closed group and you're the one that keeps posting pictures of teeth, I need you to go roll around in broken glass. And I also hate snakes. So keep that in mind when you're posting pictures.
Post a snake with human teeth. Do it.
If you're looking to terrorize me.
Just a big old smile.
Yeah.
Now, the Stapleton Airport was built about 7 miles from downtown Denver. And the range from Denver it will play kind of a little bit of a role. The airport began to grow as a pretty popular hub once airplane travel became more common, and this was after World War II, and due to its location. And Denver is kind of smack dab in the middle between the United States' West Coast and East Coast, so it was a good flyover area for them to stop and refuel.
When I think about Denver, I think of it just as a huge city, but actually it's only just over 600,000 as far as the population goes, which is kind of crazy to me. But that's also, in terms of Denver, you got the metropolitan area, and then outside of that, it's actually kind of rural for the most part.
Right.
I believe. I've never been to Denver. I would love to go there. But
I would too. And it's also has a really close proximity to a lot of military bases, so it pretty much made it a really good area for them to start an airport at. Now, it pretty much made it almost as important as Chicago and Washington, D.C. was in that time. Because, like I said, they had to have a good place in the middle.
handoff point.
Yeah, exactly, for, continental flights.
And one thing about Stapleton was when they were kind of on the fence about whether to expand or whether to not expand, there's a little place right next to Stapleton called the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, which is a chemical weapons manufacturing center.
Yeah.
And they would had to have, from what I could read, it's not functional anymore.
Yeah.
But the amount of money that it would have taken to clean up that site was
decontamination and everything.
Completely staggering, and it wasn't worth them. It would have cost more than the new airport, is what they said.
Right. So by 1945, Stapleton Airport underwent a lot of changes. It went from 640 acres, which is where it started at, up to 1,435 acres. And it would run about 50 flights a day. When it first started, it was running about 8. So
Piece of shit airport.
so it underwent a lot of changes in that time frame. Now, by 1967, they used about $56 million for upgrades, which they used to expand their terminals. They built 7 hangars. They did a new control tower, a 2-story parking lot, a jet runway, and a fire station. So just a couple other things that that they added there to kind of help them out with expediting flights and pretty much just trying to stay afloat.
Relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Now, even though they did do a lot of expanding and upgrading, there was still numerous problems with the airport in itself. They had 6 runways, and it kind of seems like it's sufficient.
Could be enough.
Yeah, but the way that it was laid out was kind of, the hard part for them to really do anything with it, because they had 2 sets of 3 parallel runways, and the 2 sets crossed. So with them crossing, they could not use more than 3 of those runways at one time.
Well, that's a big old stinky waste of shit.
Yeah, so they had 6, but really they could only use 3 at once. And 3 of their runways were 10,000 feet, which is barely enough for jets to take off.
Yeah, and for the newer stuff, that's not good at all.
Yeah, they did a lot of the building and construction, I think, before jet travel was
the way it is now.
Is the way it is now, yeah. Right. So, of course, they couldn't really do much with that. And like you said before, they really didn't have much more room to expand because it would have been a complete money pit.
And another major problem with Stapleton was they were receiving a lot of noise complaints from the Denver area, which I don't think, coming from Denver, I didn't think that would be that big of a deal because they love the loud. You get it? That was a marijuana joke.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening, I had a friend inject marijuanas over the week, and he's dead now. So
poor guy.
Don't do marijuanas, please.
Not even a single one.
Not even a single marijuanas.
Another problem that they were frequently facing was that they were always running over capacity for their gate space and for air traffic.
People love that stuff. Love going to the airport and just like checking. Oh, it's smooth sailing. Checking in, checking my bag, 3-hour delay. Fuck. I hate flying so much.
I've only flown once, and it wasn't too terrible.
Well, it's always those major places like Atlanta, right. Houston. You get there, or when you get there 3 hours early and you get to the security line, and it's, I don't know, 6 hours long to get through security. TSA, George Bush. That was probably one of the greatest things that ever come out of that presidency. Besides 9/11, that's a cool thing to talk about.
It is a cool thing to talk about.
But he had
horrible thing that happened. But
definitely a horrible thing that happened. But thank you, George Bush, for not having anything to do with
that. I like that. Okay. So, all in all, Stapleton
was a big old pile of shit.
It couldn't function with modern travel. And it just had too many problems that they just decided we're gonna start from scratch and we're gonna do another.
Because there's a lot of outcries. Because Rob and I take a very strong stance as far as if it doesn't make sense, then we'll say that hey, this story kind of smells like fish. And a lot of people cry out that they didn't need a new airport.
Right.
It's fine.
Well,
they did need a new airport.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna kind of usually when we do any type of conspiracy stories, we'll tell at the end what we think if we think if it has any legs to walk with. I'm gonna go out right off the bat and say everything's fine. But
everything's fine. It all checks out.
I don't
know. I have some stuff over here that might change your mind.
Hey, I'm willing to hear it. But the thing with the airport is that with the old airport, it was fine. There was problems. Technically, they could have continued to use it. There wasn't anything like horrible, like planes weren't crashing into buildings and stuff like that. But so technically you could say nothing was wrong. But when you're running such a large airport,
the population in Denver is doubled since that Stapleton was built. So
yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's just like they could have used it, but it makes more sense to build out.
Right.
So this leads us to the Denver International Airport.
DIA.
Yeah. So Stapleton stopped operation February 28th, 1995. Now, Denver, of course, taking off right where that left. So here's some of the things we'll get into, which kind of makes this place porn for conspiracy theorists.
I love conspiracy porn.
It's the best kind. So, as we said, the Stapleton was functional, but it did have its issues. And it was very close to downtown Denver, within 7 miles, I believe I said it was.
And another thing, it made it hard for takeoff as far as with how close proximity Stapleton was to the downtown area. The jets couldn't get high enough without hitting the buildings and whatnot. Well, at a safe altitude above the buildings during takeoff.
Right. Like we said, it's not a lot of future planning whenever they did it.
Stupid fucks.
So whenever they decided to build the Denver International Airport, they placed it 25 miles away from Denver. And that rubs a lot of people the wrong way because of how far away they decided to go with it. But there's land.
There's a lot of land.
It's not
25 miles in a metropolitan area like that.
It's not that crazy of a distance.
It depends on traffic, but 25 miles in LA, that you're looking at 2 to 3 hours of a commute in some instances. 25 miles in Manhattan, unless you're taking the subway. I've never rode the subway before. I used to date a guy, and he nicknamed himself the Subway. I rode that all the time.
Jared?
Yeah. He told me I was the only one. Apparently, there was a lot of other ones.
And the airport itself is absolutely enormous. It's huge.
It looks like a bunch of little circus tents.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be snow on top of the Rockies, and it looks like a bunch of circus tents.
It really does.
Like it's a pop-up wedding.
Like you're going to go see Cirque du Soleil or something.
Yeah.
It's twice the size of Manhattan.
God damn.
And it went, whenever they built it, and this is another big turning point for conspiracy theorists, is that it went $2 billion over the budget.
So that's one issue I have with it.
Yes.
That's like walking into Hustler Hollywood or the dildo store with $10 and then walking up to that monster that comes up to your hip and saying, "Hey, I want this." And they're like, "You don't have enough money for that, sir." Because when I go to Hustler Hollywood, they have like Bluetooth butt plug vibrators now, and we're talking $100, $120. I'm going to go over budget buying something like that. I'm going to go over budget by a lot.
Right.
But if you walk into the Hustler Hollywood with $10, you could get some nice massage oil if you're trying to go hot legging or something like that.
Good old hot legging. I'm gonna use that. It's gonna be in my vernacular now. Okay. So yeah, they went $2 billion over budget. There is, an insane amount of fiber optic cables there. They have a fueling system which is like ridiculously large for any airport. I think it's like significantly larger than any airport. Fuels a lot of.
There's only one airport in the entire world that's bigger than this one, and it's in Saudi Arabia. And we all know how
oil money there.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is. There's pictures on the internet of those malls there.
Yeah,
and they're just abandoned malls with hundreds and hundreds of Lamborghinis and Bugattis and Ferraris just sitting there with dust on top of them.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So which begs the question. They have enough already to fuel their planes. What the hell is all the rest of it for?
The $2 million.
And then where did that $2 billion budget go into?
They did spend a lot on an underground baggage system that was kind of like a
faulty
state of the art. It was going to expedite baggage, the process of moving baggage to 1,000% faster than what it normally was, and it didn't work at all.
No.
They scrapped it, and I don't think to this day they don't use it. It just doesn't work.
I think they just recently got it up and running. I might be wrong, but the thing is that that's a big that's also a big key thing that people point out. The existence of the underground tunnels is because they that's for sure exists. That we all know it exists.
I have a story from someone that works in the underground tunnels.
Let's hear it.
Well, we'll get to it.
When we get to it. Okay.
This is going to be the climax of the story here.
Yeah. Okay.
We love climaxes.
I'm ready for the climax.
I'm not very familiar with making people climax, but I can make you climax with the story.
Another thing from appearance from the airport, is that if you Google map it, or if you look at any pictures that show like the actual layout of the area, the runways, you could say the way they're laid out, they do sort of resemble a swastika.
9! 9!
So that's
9!
that goes with the whole, Nazis running it. And all that good
The thing
stuff.
is about these swastikas, there's that one retarded kid in your school that always smelled like kerosene. It looks like he's the one that drew the swastikas.
Right.
You'd walk in the bathroom and it looks like a stick figure drowning, and it would say Hail Hitler underneath of it, which Hail Hitler means nothing. You know, Heil Hitler, then you're possibly getting in trouble there.
Yeah. It's silly.
It doesn't look like a swastika. It kind of does. It looks like a quarter of a swastika.
So, from there, let's kind of go into a couple of the real fun things that are either included in the Denver airport or around the airport that, a lot of people point to that's kind of weird and odd and out of place.
Do you cover the windshield incident?
I do not, but I did read about it.
Okay. Well,
if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
In 2007, 14 commercial aircrafts spontaneously shattered windshields as a presumed result of electromagnetic pulses at the airport. That day, there was some substantially cold weather coupled with some strong winds, and a lot of people blame the windshields breaking on that. But first one must ignore what an electromagnetic pulse is, or EMP, what it actually does and what it actually is. The pulse themselves can only affect electronic items and cannot damage glass or plastic. The only way the glass shattering can be linked to an EMP is if the pulse was caused by a nuclear explosion. And if there's a goddamn nuclear explosion, your asshole's going to know for sure.
Yeah, you're not going to just be worried about windshields busting.
Crack the windshield. And the materials, the heat from the nuclear explosion, that's what's going to cause items to break and things to melt. If this would have happened, it would have turned the entire airport into a radioactive slag, not just to shatter a few windows. The investigation concluded it was high winds, grit, and cold temperatures. 9 of the 14 planes had just tried to take off and were just landed. 1 had taken off, and 4 were at the gate. Denver has high winds and an arid plateau climate with lots of rocks. Cracked windshields are very common for cars in the Denver area as well, much to the delight of all of the conspiracy theorists.
Yay.
But 9 to 14, that's not a super tight ratio right there.
No, that's,
And one thing that when I was shuffling through the pages of Reddit, there's it's a fucking dark hole, buddy.
That's a shithole right there. Yeah.
So there's people that work there, and they don't work there long. But when they do work there, they feel like a sonic pressure on their head. When you're riding in your car and you roll your back window down,
we've talked about that.
It feels like your asshole's going to fall out.
Sounds like there's a helicopter in the car with you.
And you're like, oh my God, turn it off. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what these people are explaining. When they're walking around this airport, it feels like there's a lot of pressure on their skull. Like the air is caving in around them. They also hear, and sometimes it won't necessarily be the sonic pressure. They'll hear like a harmony of moans coming from underneath. It sounds like they're coming from underneath them, almost like like some monks trying to claw their way out because they're
trying to climax.
They had sex with Elizabeth Bathory at the Borley Rectory, and they're looking. You'll have to check the past episodes for that one. Yeah. So that's kind of a weird thing that the people that work there explain. There's a lot of other weird things that I will get to a little later on.
Awesome. I want to get into good old Blucifer. I think out of all the things that I read about,
the blue horse?
Yeah, I think Blucifer is probably the best one.
He's the angriest.
It's majestic, but it's terrifying at the same time. Now, Blucifer is actually called the Blue Mustang. It's locals and everybody else kind of call it Blucifer. This thing, it's a 32-foot statue. 32 foot tall statue of a completely maniacal looking Bronco.
He's
or
blue.
Mustang, I would say. Yeah, he's bright, like cobalt blue, and I don't know how far outside of the airport he is.
He's not far.
But I know going to the airport, you're gonna pass him.
Yep.
And he's rearing up on his hind legs.
And he looks like he just sits on the front porch and does push-ups.
Right.
This motherfucker's
this is
ripped.
a jacked.
He's got veins and shit.
So he's bright blue, and he has crazy, like, glowing red eyes. And the statue itself, even when it was being built, it was kind of a big problem because the sculptor, his name was Luis Jimenez.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Actually, when he was building it, a 9,000-pound piece of the statue fell off and fell on him, which severed an artery in his leg, thus killing him.
God damn.
So,
and it's said that he made the eyes the demonic red glow because his father dabbled in manufacturing neon lights, so it was kind of an ode to him, was to make the eyes glow like neon lights. Honestly, he created this fucking angel of death, 4 horsemen.
Right.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's actually, it's said that it will provide transportation for one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
And I kind of, one thing I want to say about the horse is he's anatomically correct. He's got a little pudgy dick. When someone says, "Oh my God, he's hung like a horse," this is not the horse dick you're thinking about. But the balls on this horse look like 2 helicopters hanging from his waist, just dangling. You can look it up.
I think out of all the murals and you got the gargoyles, statues, and everything, I think Lucifer is probably the coolest one to look at.
He's terrifying.
It's 32 feet tall, and it's like he just glows. It's crazy.
And to speak of the 4 horsemen, back when I was younger, I was a very religious fellow. So
I thought you were going into wrestling there.
No, 4 horsemen. Ric Flair.
You got the New World Order. You got the 4
Arn
horsemen.
Anderson. No, I'm talking about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and I would very much love to do an apocalypse episode very soon.
The X-Men character?
The Christian apocalypse.
Okay.
Not the fucking Buddha apocalypse. I don't know what that is. But it's said that in God's right hand there was he had a scroll, and it was sealed with 7 seals, and the Lamb of God, or the Lion of Judah, aka Jesus Christ, opens the first 4 of the 7 seals, which summons 4 beings that ride out on white, red, black, and pale horses. Not necessarily a blue horse, but still awfully, like you said, maniacal, that this horse kind of looks like a demon. Although some interpretations differ, in most accounts, the 4 riders are seen in symbolizing conquest, war, famine, and death, respectively. The Christian apocalyptic vision is that the 4 horsemen are to set a divine apocalypse upon the world as harbingers of the last judgment. That makes you kind of what the hell, man? Makes your hair stand up a little bit. That's one thing. I've read the Bible before, but Revelations is cool, man. It's such a cool book. All the stuff going on. I like the end of time stuff, the locusts and everyone coming back for the final judgment.
That's some cool shit.
People just fucking vanishing. You guys will have to check it out.
Very spoopy.
Holy Bible. King James wrote it.
Maybe you've heard of it.
I don't know who wrote it, honestly. John the Baptist.
Some drunk monks high off the acacia bush.
A bunch of people wrote it. That's why it's shit.
So I guess that kind of wraps up Lucifer for me. But yeah, if you get a chance, check him out.
Google image the blue horse from Denver International Airport.
Blue Mustang or
get
Lucifer.
Eyes on those testicles. I'm telling you. Check it out.
Or just the eyes in general. The eyes are pretty crazy. How they just they glow eerily, and it's pretty ominous looking. The other big dog is the murals.
Now, yeah,
those
things are fucking terrible.
Yeah, there's two main murals. Children of the World is the main one, and it's broken up into a couple pieces. There's a smaller section, and then there's a bigger section. And all in all, when you're looking at them, they're you do get the sense of foreboding, and it is really end of the world apocalypse-ish.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's the Nazi gas mask one. I don't know. Do you cover these pictures very in depth here?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So in the Children of the World, you see exactly what it's called, Children of the World. So you see children from all different cultures. They're holding swords, which are wrapped in the different flags. There is at the bottom. There is like Nick said. There's a soldier. which you could say was a Nazi, and
he does look like he's wearing a German officer outfit.
Yeah, in a gas mask, right? And at the bottom right corner, there is a letter from a child who actually died in Auschwitz.
Not this kind of gas mask, dude. It's Denver, but it was like a chemical warfare gas mask, man.
Right. And it's scripted on this, it actually painted onto this mural is the letter, and this is what the letter says. It says, "I was once a little child who longed for other worlds, but I am no more a child, for I have known fear. I have learned to hate. How tragic, then, is youth, which lives with enemies, with gallows ropes. Yet I still believe I only sleep today, that I'll wake up a child again and start to laugh and play."
Please tell me who in the fuck decided it was a good idea to put something like that up in an airport.
Yeah, it's really, really strange.
That's terrifying.
Yes. And the smaller part of the mural, which is, I would say, the most ominous one, this shows the same type of soldier. This is the one where he's standing up, typical German soldier, gas mask, holding onto a very long sword.
Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yes. And at the end of the sword, you have an impaled dove, like the dove of peace.
Oh, God.
And there is surrounding him what looks like a wall. It goes like from the left all the way down and under him. In the corner, inside the wall, it looks like there's maybe like a family or some children that are hiding, cowering in fear. Yeah. And then on the outside of the wall is a long line of people.
It's waiting to die.
Pretty much, yes, that are essentially sealed off from the outside, which this kind of goes into, people look into that as saying like, hey, this could be showing that here is, they have facilities that, they can essentially do that, where something happens, you're sealed off, everybody else on the outside is screwed, and everybody on the inside is just terrified of what's going to happen.
Very cryptic.
Right.
And that's what some people, the biggest thing here is the bunkers, honestly.
Yeah.
There was an incident with Obama that I don't know if you cover that at all.
Nope.
So you do cover the bunkers a little later on more.
Yeah, that's what I'm going into next.
Okay, well, then I'll just roll into that. There was an incident whenever President Obama was in office where there was an asteroid that was going to be grazing past the Earth. It was going to come within 22 miles proximity of the Earth, which in the grand scheme of things, 22 miles, that is all it would take is a slight detour. And
that's terrifyingly close.
Yes. And that day, it just so happens that Obama spent the day within minutes of Denver International Airport. And it was said that there was a lot more security present with him that day, and there was a lot more staff on the airport that weren't recognizable to the normal employees. Almost like there was a coordinated plan, a method to where if this thing was going to get any closer to the Earth, closer than 22 miles, which is terrifyingly close, and
they were preparing.
Yes,
essentially.
that he could have been hidden. He could have used the bunkers as a getaway, but only 75 miles down the road, you have the place has left me right now, but it's just it's 75 miles away from.
It's you talk about the NORAD.
NORAD, yeah. It's called the Cheyenne Mountain Nuclear Bunker.
Yeah,
which is built to specifically absorb a direct hit by a nuclear weapon.
Yes,
like I said, that's only 75 miles away, so maybe that. I couldn't think of a better spot for someone presidential to hang out,
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there was the episode of Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura where they kind of showed off the compound a little bit.
Right.
It's a pretty crazy place, and allegedly they say that the NORAD bunker is possibly connected via underground tunnels and rail system to the Denver airport.
Yeah, there's a lot of underground stuff going on, like we said before.
Yeah. So
if you guys do hear any labored breathing, my child is sitting on my lap. Yep.
There she is.
Yeah.
So when we kind of talked about the luggage system a little bit going into the underground stuff, it never worked. And well, at that time, it never worked. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it does now. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Don't send me hate mail.
Please do send us hate mail. We love it.
We do thrive on that. So it did take up a large amount of space, and this is seen by, as kind of like as a cover up for the existence of underground tunnels, which possibly lead to a bunker, and even like a major, I would say like a place to where the elites can gather and stay safe.
Illuminati, New World Order. New World Order.
So going back to NORAD.
NORAD, every year around Christmas time, you can get on NORAD's website and you can track Santa Claus. He's zipping around. NORAD, they do a little satellite action for him. You can see him zipping around, flying down chimneys, dropping his load under the tree, and just heading back up.
Swinging his big old sack.
He doesn't go to Russia, though. You know why? He doesn't go to Russia because they don't believe in Jesus or Santa Claus.
So to paint a little bit, picture here of the bunker itself, this place, it's pretty much tunneled through, and it's tunneled through a granite mountain. It's 15 three-story buildings. They have multiple blast doors, which, like we said, for nuclear explosion, these things can handle anywhere from a 25 to a 30 megaton nuclear explosion.
Christ. It said that there's a landfill close by that was it was in use, but now it's not in use, and it's kind of, and they were storing huge tunnels over there during the building of the airport itself.
They were like concrete outline tunnels,
huge.
That
wouldn't be needed for anything else besides being a bunker specifically. But ever since then, this landfill's kind of shut down, but they still have the tunnels are still there, and they're not the same tunnels. They're kind of they change a lot, and it seems almost like if they're still working on some underground stuff there.
Oh, okay. Now, there's a man by the name of Curtis Fentress. He was actually the CEO and principal in charge of design with the airport and with it may have even been with the underground section.
And he was in the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh,
I made that up.
So he actually went on, talked about the existence of the tunnels and the bomb shelters, alleged bomb shelters before. And here's what he actually said. He said, "Well, I really can't speak of it. I'm sworn to secrecy. Says, I understand that they're going to be creating a tour of some of the underground facilities in the future at the Denver International Airport. I just heard last week that when you go to Moscow, you can go down into the area where they were poised to launch a missile strike against America.
Oh, good.
And they have this big underground bomb shelter about 100 feet down in the ground. Could be similar to what kind of things with tours to the underground of Denver International Airport." So right there, he's not coming out and saying...
He's coming out and saying it.
But he is at the same time. Yeah, he's not saying there's there, but he's saying we could potentially be giving tours of it.
Right. So now I'll touch on the Redditor story.
Oh, yeah.
That this is the person that worked in the underground tunnels. They brought their story to the front pages of Reddit. And this was... Yeah, it's a baby. She's winding up. She's getting ready to start yelling.
Yeah, she's going to start screaming here in a minute.
So this person says they work in the underground tunnels. They work with a lot of other people, and their main job is to keep the underground trains running. There's a lot of preventative maintenance that goes into keeping the trains running, and they run such a vigorous schedule that the only time they can get to it is towards the end of the night, and sometimes their job holds them over through the middle of the night. And they said when you're in the underground tunnels, there's not a lot to be left to the imagination. Just a bunch of underground tunnels, okay? And there's constantly people moving through them, so there's no question as to what they actually are, except for when you come to between two fans. There's a door that they say, under no instances, no circumstances should this door ever be opened.
It's the ominous
door.
door.
They give you a key to the door, that just so you have the keys to the door, but you should never open the door.
Weird.
Right. But just like Curiosity got the cat, a lot of employees have tried to open the door using the key, and none of their keys work the door. This is also where I got the story about hearing the sonic pressure, and hearing the underground, just the harmony of underground voices that kind of constantly piercing people's ears. And this person also spoke about. Thank you.
She likes that part of the story.
There is a baby here, so bear with us. They also speak about there's certain janitors that just kind of seem to be absent of life altogether. They just kind of
they're just husks.
Yeah, just like almost like they're zombies. But I would have to imagine in that type of work, you're kind of just dead anyways.
Right.
A lot of people love their jobs. I would have to imagine cleaning up piss and shit out of a bathroom is probably not one of those jobs where you're super happy to do it. You know? So I'm going to kind of hop into this story here. I'm going to read verbatim what this person has. They had a lot leading up to that, which is what I kind of
just went over real quick.
Yeah. Are you done yet? All right. Says, I remember it clearly when I saw the first indication that something else might be going on at DIA. It was late. I was leaving. I saw a light, dim with moments of intense brightness, and recognized it as a flashlight being pointed slightly towards me and away. Curious, I walked closer to the glass inside the door, expecting to see something. Relatively normal. One of my coworkers searching for batteries we had lost earlier, maybe the second inspector doing his last rounds of the day. Instead, I saw a man wearing an impeccable black suit and a gas mask. So,
oh shit,
that's your first sign that something has gone completely fucking awry.
Yeah, something fun.
He was squatting by the locked door, looking left and right, down the track and up it. Now, this locked door that I'm speaking about is the one in between the two fans that no one has a key to, that no one can get the door open to. His back was towards me, leaving me almost completely unseen from where I was standing on the darkened platform behind the sliding doors. His smooth leather shoes shined in the dim light casted by his flashlight, and I could barely make out the hue of his wood-colored hair. He turned to look further down the tunnel that connected to Concourse C, and I swiftly hid behind one of the walls separating the doors. For some reason, I didn't want that man, whoever he was, to see me. He didn't seem like a normal employee, and my mind instantly jumped to all those theories I had heard or helped think up. After a moment, when my breath had slowed and my heart slid down from my throat, I peered around the wall. The man was gone, and the tunnel was dark. Confused and scared, I left in a hurry. The next day, after a sleepless night of rumination, I asked a coworker I was on friendlier terms with about the man. That was the baby. Ooh. That was a baby growl. I was afraid of asking anyone else, afraid they might judge me or think I had finally cracked, or that I was lying, trying to add to the gossip, the lore. I was hoping she would at least give me the benefit of the doubt. Hey, I said, catching up to her as she was walking out of the break room. I saw something last night. She raised an eyebrow. Something here? I continued. I picked up the late shift, and when I was leaving, I saw this guy. It looked like he was examining the locked door. He didn't look official, or maybe he looked too official. Just a guy in a black suit and a gas mask. Gas mask, she said clearly skeptical. I nodded. Dude, I know it's legal here, but take it easy. That's funny. I rolled my eyes, saying nothing. She sighed. Could have just been a Fed checking for an EMP leak or something. Or maybe the second inspector was cosplaying. But yeah, that's pretty weird. Don't tell old Tom. We laughed, but inside I felt the fear boiling up in my gut. Who was that man, and what the hell was behind the door? Look, my coworker said, seeing that I was still worried. She looked around us, making sure no one else was near, and lowered her voice. This wouldn't be the first time I've heard of a dude in a black suit acting suspicious in a place he shouldn't and couldn't possibly get access to. I wouldn't worry about it too much, just a normal day in the office. I looked at her and smiled, unsure whether she was being, if she was being a smart aleck or not. She winked and walked away. Last night, my morbid curiosity came true. Last night, the locked door was unlocked and open, and I couldn't help myself. It was a Bluebeard moment. The second inspector asked me to stay a little later than usual since we've been having maintenance issues with the train all day. He wanted me to do one final inspection before I left for my scheduled 3-day weekend. It was late. Very, very late. The witching hour, as my mom says, which I do. I want to do an episode on the witching hour.
Right.
And I was one of the few people left in the building. Walking down the tunnel was harder than usual, scarier, and my feet felt like they were cast in steel, heavy, and slow. The air itself felt electrified, and I began wondering about EMPs and if they really did test them deep, deep below my feet when I saw it, the door, open. I hesitated for a moment, looking back behind me and peering ahead, making sure I was alone before I approached it. Beyond the door was a severe fluorescent light. I can imagine how it looked from afar as I stood there, a silhouette framed against an ungodly bright rectangle of light. Inside was a square room, maybe 300 square feet. It seemed to be made entirely of a dull metal and was completely empty. On either side of the room were heavy-looking doors, but only one was totally black and shut tightly, while the other was a corroding reddish color and slightly protruding at an odd angle. Leaning next to the wall at the base of the black door was a familiar-looking gas mask.
Oh.
I stared at it for a moment, contemplating whether or not to take it, when I heard a resounding boom, the door to the tunnel slamming shut. I ran to it, panicked, hoping it would slide open with ease, letting me out of this place. It was locked. I made my way to the black door, trying the handle which turned smoothly to the left, but no matter how hard I pushed or pulled, it wouldn't budge. I turned, looking at the other door. It looked, there's no other way to describe it, sickly. The metal itself looked like it was rotting from the inside out, flaking off in large, sharp chips that littered the floor around it. I approached it cautiously, grabbing onto the handle. It was warm to the touch, and pushed it down. It stuck slightly before yielding to my grasp and swinging outwards with a piercing screech of metal on metal. Behind it was a dimly lit staircase that descended into obscurity below. I stood back for a moment, unsure if I should go down or not before my curiosity got the best of me, propelling me to take the first step. After that, it became easier, and I began counting the steps to the bottom. I lost count at 123.
Holy shit.
But soon reached the last landing. I suspected I was about 4 or 5 stories underneath the lowest level of DIA. I was standing in an extremely dark, long, and thin tunnel. Looking up behind me, I could barely make out the dim slit of light from the open door I had come through. That's kind of kinky, a slit.
It's the slit.
Isn't that a bad name for a vagina?
Oh.
A gash that's another bad one.
Ugh.
As I walked deeper into the darkness, my eyes began to adjust, allowing me to see a spooky red glow coming from the end of the tunnel. The exit. It took me a good deal of time to finally reach it, but when I did, I gasped. I was standing in a cavernous area so high I couldn't even make out the top of the ceiling above me. I looked below. The tunnel was dark, impenetrable, and above the entryway, words were carved. The abyss looks back. That's what it said above the door. That's kind of kinky, right?
I like that.
I shook my head, looking towards cavern, steeling myself, and took the first steps forward, shuddering as I heard my footsteps echo loudly around me. Suddenly, a dim beam shot out from above, illuminating a small metal table with a single chair. I wonder if there was some sort of movement activation system, and became more aware of myself. I walked closer and saw 2 things: a pool of dark, viscous liquid surrounding it that I tried not to think about, and a smooth black binder lying on the table, open to a section that read, "Procedure. Hope to God it doesn't happen. In case of breach."
What the fuck?
Yeah. Mystified, I stepped around the pool of liquid and flipped the binder closed, trying to see what it was called. Scrawled across the top of the binder in white ink was "Quarantine Procedures." I tried flipping it back to the procedure, accidentally letting it go too soon. The cover smacked into the table with force, creating a sound that rang out loud and true in the emptiness. I cringed, then cowered. It started immediately. A low rumbling, yet strangely high-pitched moaning. It was like I was hearing several people make the sound all at the same time. I looked around, trying to find the source of the sound, but saw nothing. I moved forward, apprehensive, and realized I was nearing a great chasm. I could barely make out the edge of it in front of me. I stopped short and peered over it, seeing what looked like nothing, or maybe it was that the chasm went on forever. Either way, it looked empty and endless. But as I stood there, staring below, I began to make out something. Sick. A mass of what looked like blackened human bodies, twisting together, melted to one another, writhing as if in pain or pleasure. Suddenly, I saw the whites of too many eyes, all looking towards me, glaring. I yelped, reeling backwards and falling. Behind me, a clanging sound rang out, and I looked back to see an enormous blob of burnt black bodies near the small metal table. A few of its hands held the binder, ripping it to shreds. I stood up, it saw me, and froze for a moment before making a horrific sound and heaving towards me. I turned and ran as fast as I could, hearing the moaning grow louder in the chasm to the right of me, and behind me I could hear it, scuffling, scampering, screaming, trying to keep up, trying to get to me. I was nearing an incredibly high wall and ran towards it, hoping there was a way out. And just to paraphrase the rest of the story, there's a lot of stumbling around, running around. This person runs into several rooms. There's Illuminati signs over a lot of the doors. There's an emblem of a half lion, half unicorn all over the place. I don't know. Is that a liger? What the fuck is that? There's this person just kind of runs back and forth and finds all these fucked up rooms. Sounds like a bit of a far-fetched story to me, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's one of the
It's
newer DIA conspiracies that have come to light that I know a lot of podcasts kind of cover the same subject matter and on this certain topic, but this is kind of new, so that's why I wanted to cover that. But this person does make it out alive. They share their story with their coworker. Their coworker doesn't believe them, just like we don't believe them. But nonetheless, a really good fucked up story.
You can read the rest of it. It's on Reddit.
Yeah, just Google Reddit Denver International Airport.
We don't have another 2 hours to go on because how long the story
Just
is.
remember, the abyss looks back.
That's an awesome.
It is.
An awesome.
We
name
get that on
right
our new Ohio shirts.
there. All right. Well, where do we go from there? Oh, you know what? Here's what we can go to. The Freemasons. We talked about them a little bit. A couple places in the airport. There are, I guess they're like dedication markers, and they have the Freemason crest pretty much etched into them.
Oh, yeah.
And underneath of the crest, on the main one, it reads the New World Airport Commission. Now,
New World Order.
Yeah. New World Airport Commission, nobody knows who they are.
Right.
And that's one of the big deals is that, okay, it's the New World Airport Commission. Well, who the hell is
Let's
it?
go find out who they are.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
It's one of those things. And also, the last thing that usually draws a lot of attention is the statues that are throughout, the gargoyle statues.
It looks more like a demon ascending from a briefcase. Is what it looks like.
It's a briefcase, and it's a gargoyle that has like a big, like a bird's beak.
Yeah,
like a kind of like an eagle's beak,
and he looks very impatient.
Right, he looks pretty pissed off. But what the creator of that pretty much said that was because the old bagging system was pretty horrible. It would either lose your luggage or, worst case, it would shred it, and everything in it would be gone. So I don't know much about history of gargoyles, but supposedly they are
they're notorious assholes.
Well, they're
good for protection.
Yeah, exactly. They're used for protection. They overlook things. They just look really like ominous and like they have a sense of foreboding to them. And that's pretty much what they said, is that they built those as a sign of like good luck towards your luggage.
Yeah,
it's kind of silly and weird,
nothing.
but
and the Denver International Airport, they've bought into this conspiracy thing, and they're like, yeah, it's pretty crazy here. Now they are doing like paid tours around Christmas time and whatnot, where you can give your hard-earned cash to.
Why not cash in on it?
Yeah, exactly.
People around Area 51 do.
And they said the new kind of, I don't know, the director of the airport, she is completely all in on it. She thinks it's awesome, and she loves to. Another cool thing about, they say if you add up the dates of when it opened, it comes to 33.
Yeah, it's I think it's 191994.
Yeah.
Because I think it was March 9th, 1994.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
And when you add all that up, it's 33, which is the highest degree you can achieve in the Freemasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about Freemasons. I know a lot of my law enforcement friends were involved with Freemasonry, and I always ask, hey, how do I become a Freemason? They're like, and the thing is, they say, if you want to be a Mason, just ask a Mason. And we are not claiming to know anything about Freemasons, because whenever every podcast that does an episode on Freemasons and the Illuminati and stuff, you get guys that come out of the woodwork that are potentially Freemasons, and they get really upset about all the inaccuracies that are put out there. So I'm not going to claim to know much about Freemasons
I-
or the Illuminati.
Yeah, barely anything. I know.
Those
Yeah.
will be episodes all in itself, but I do know I had one friend, I'm not going to say his name, and he is a Freemason. He wears a Mason ring. And I said, I heard there's some like initiation procedures that you have to go through. And he's like, yeah, man, you have to do some pretty weird stuff. And I at one point thought about joining the Freemasons just because I think it'd be cool to be part of like a secret society.
Right.
I didn't do it though, because I just joined a book club instead. And he said, I asked him, what do you have to do as part of your initiation process? Am I going to get fucking hurt? Am I going to get beat? Because I went to for my bachelor party, we went to the strip club, and there was another bachelor there. They set him down with a blindfold, and they put hot sauce on a double dong dildo, and they shoved it in his mouth.
Ooh,
I don't want to do anything like that, because that would be bad.
that's kinky.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. At my lodge, they put you in a pen, and they they shave a goat, and they grease it up, and you got to catch this goat.
Okay.
And I'm like, why wouldn't you have to catch a fucking pig?
Right.
And he's like, that's the obscurity of it all. We use a shaved goat.
There's some symbology with the goat.
Yeah. Because goats are definitely go hand in hand with satanic rituals.
Right. And that's a big thing. A big like they say that there's what's the word I'm trying to think of? There's roots in Satanism and everything within Freemasonry. So
Right. So
fun stuff.
that's the Denver International Airport.
All in all, yeah. I mean, like I said, we probably didn't touch on everything, but honestly, I think that a lot of the stuff,
Nothing going on there.
nah, I don't think there may be underground sections.
No. You're too close to NORAD and stuff like that to need anything,
Right.
any type of facility like that.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me if if all airports, I should say, would have an underground section. I'm sure they have, areas and stuff where, people can go to, but I don't think it's always as clandestine and crazy as people think it is.
And just to do some foreshadowing here, our next episode, I think it's Picton is the serial killer's last name. This is a Patreon episode picked by Kevin Baxley.
Oh, okay.
This is the guy that chopped up hookers and fed it to police officers. So
What a guy.
some real deal shit.
Cool.
So thanks for listening, guys. Go give us a review on iTunes.
If you hate it, don't leave us a 1-star.
Yeah, please don't. Go,
just go on about your day.
Yes. And we appreciate you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.